Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
I just want to point out what a load of BS it is that this is the episode Ryan decides to miss.
I don't know if I would say he decided to miss, but he had to miss.
It's still.
He's getting his end of life experience on a cruise right now.
I'm getting my end of life experience right now too.
Yeah, I'm sure this is what dying feels like.
I am functioning on maybe 7 hours of sleep since Thursday.
I can say last night I went to bed at like 11:30, and then I woke up at, what time do I say? Since it's daylight savings.
Oh, so an hour.
I technically woke up at 10, but it really was 9. So I overslept.
I went to bed at 12 and woke up at 2 and woke up at 4 and woke up at 6 and woke up at 8.
Hey, that's part of the gig. That's what you get for having children.
Children, God, the fact that's a plural sounds weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's pretty sweet.
Did I even tell you guys that Crystal was supposed to be induced and that never ended up happening?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we waited so long, it just happened. She just went naturally.
Nature took its course.
Yeah, and for those of you who are listening, haven't clued in, I'm now a father of 2.
How long were you guys there?
We checked into contractions started at 8:30 in the morning for her.
Okay.
We checked into the hospital about 3 p.m. on Thursday, so literally 2 hours before we were supposed to take Mika trick-or-treating, because timing. My dad took her. She's still happy. And then he was born at 1:43 in the morning that night.
That seems long.
It was shorter than it was Mika. Mika was 24 hours. He was 17 hours total.
Jesus.
And then, we got discharged super early Saturday morning.
Oh, do you know they quick?
It was pretty quick. Well, they got to keep you for at least 24 hours because at exactly 24 hours is when they run a whole bunch of blood tests on the babies.
Okay.
And because he was born at 1:43 in the morning, they ran all the tests at 2 in the morning the next day. So we had to stay up for those tests. Yeah. And then, of course, kid gets a needle. He's not thrilled after. So we didn't get down till about 4 in the morning that night. And then woke up at 7 to get the hell out of there.
Yep. That's all about the self-sacrifice of parenthood.
It is. Want to know my favorite part about this, though? So when I posted on Twitter that the baby was here, our listeners immediately went to what his draft year was. And
God.
And the impressive part about that is most people would just take the year plus 18 and assume his draft year would be 2037.
Oh, my God.
But it's not. But it's not. It's 2038 because he's a late birthday, and almost everybody caught on to that.
Excellent.
We have
people are paying attention.
We have an informed fan base. So 2038 NHL draft. Henrik, John, Crisco. Keep your ears to the ground. There's the solution to our center problems. In 19 years.
Well, I've already gone through a full cycle of players at that point.
You know what's funny though to think about? Who's the youngest player in the Red Wings system right now that'll probably make it? Sider?
Yeah.
So he might still be playing then.
That's wild.
Because if he makes it that long, he will be 37.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, that would be super strange.
Anyways, welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm Brad Crisco.
I'm Luke Witkowski.
Oh.
The only team that's willing to hire him for some pocket lint is our podcast.
All right, so before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is sponsored by Labatt. Celebrate with the Labatt Blue and the Detroit Red Wings all season long. Find your specially designed cases of Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light at your local retailer to #SellYon with Labatt Blue. It's important that you Sell-Y-On with Labatt Blue because last night there was no selling with the Detroit Red Wings. Labatt Blue keeping us in check. Keep your eyes peeled for limited edition Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light team cans. Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light, official Canadian beers of the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, Ryan's slowly losing all his jobs on this podcast.
I have to do all of them, and my brain's functioning at about 10% capacity right now. So there's a very real chance we're not even recording right now.
What do we even need Ryan for at this point? He gave us all the instructions. You did a better ad read than him. I don't know what his purpose is anymore.
I need someone to yell at about offside.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I think me and you are on the common sense side of that train, and Ryan's here to be the contradictory voice.
It's true, but you can't do that today because I agree with you. So what do we want to talk about?
We need to talk about those last two games.
I'm okay.
Because they were bad. Fun fact, I watched the Carolina game in a hospital room on data on my cell phone.
Why?
I don't know. Because Henrik was sleeping, Crystal was in and out, and I had nothing else to do. I was sitting in the corner of a hospital room all by my damn self.
You mean they don't have unreal Wi-Fi at hospitals?
They have really good Wi-Fi. It would have cost us like $25.
Oh, it's per day?
It was like for like 3 days or something like that.
Oh, I guess that's not terrible.
I have unlimited data though, so.
Oh, that's also not bad then.
Yeah, so I just added that SOB up. And you know what I wish I did instead?
Anything else?
Yes, exactly. That game was atrocious. So, on the Friday night game, the Red Wings have played twice since we've last recorded. They lost 7-3 to the Carolina Hurricanes and 4-0 for to the Florida Panthers.
My
boy.
math says that's not good.
Are you team tank or are you team win?
I'm team tank.
Then
sure.
You're thrilled.
Yeah, but I still don't like getting pumped by everybody. I would like at least, a competitive like 3-2 game, not 4-0 meaningless hockey and then a 7-3 drubbing.
I think that's what we actually have to start talking about here. Isn't the fact that the Red Wings lost to, or the fact that the Red Wings are losing a lot because they've lost, 8 of 9 games or 9 of 10 or something absurd like that?
It's been a lot.
It's been bad. But it's not just that they're losing. As our friend Max Boltman of The Athletic pointed out, the Red Wings have played 15 games this year. In 7 of those games, they have lost by 4 or more goals.
That would indicate to me that we are uncompetitive.
And what's the one thing the Red Wings needed to be this year?
Not uncompetitive.
It's good timing that a good chunk of our last episode was whether or not Blashill's job should be safe, because more people than just us are talking about it now. He is on the hottest of seats at the moment from how it would appear to the outside world.
Yeah, the way I look at coaches and the temperature of their seats we've talked about it in length about Blashill. It basically comes down to not if we're winning or losing and our perceived wins that this team should have. It's, are we competitive or not? Because we know this team is bad, and we feel for Jeff Blashill having a crappy hand dealt to him. But you still got to get the players up to be competitive, win or lose. And then there's the other case where you look at a team like New Jersey and you expect a lot more from a team like that. So that's where I gauge my temperature. And right now, Jeff Blashill's seat is almost too hot to the touch. But maybe it's not. We have no idea what happens behind closed doors. But it's got to be. We have 1 win in like a month.
Ryan's tinfoil hat theory that he goes on and on about is this is what Yzerman wanted. But Yzerman, by what he wanted, is a whole lot of losing and a high draft pick. But there's no way he could want this, right? His
hands are tied. We have contracts we can't really, Lucha just got traded, so, but I'll still say we have some anchor contracts that really tie his hands, and he's stuck with what he's got. He's kind of just like Jeff Blashill.
Oh, man. So, the game itself on Friday night.
Anthony and Mantha got 2 goals.
And Athanasiou looked great.
Yeah, that the bang goal for Mantha was all on the hard work of Athanasiou, and his turn he made to beat 2 defenders was disgusting.
That's what he's good at.
You like to see things like that. If he's not scoring, you like to see moments like that.
Now, outside of that moment and those two playing well,
That's it.
That was it.
See you later.
The rest of the game was an unmitigated disaster. The score looked a little generous to Carolina, air quotations, because Carolina got an empty netter, but who cares?
6-3 and 7-3 aren't too different.
Blashill pulling the goalie with 4 minutes left, although I agree with that strategy when you're down by that much.
Yeah, like if you pull him with a minute and a half left,
You're not getting 3.
how are you going to get that many goals?
The Red Wings haven't got 3 goals all season, I'm pretty sure.
From what?
In total. It feels like that.
Well, other than Mantha.
Yeah, if you take out Mantha, this
The team has not, but one player has.
Oh, did you see there was a stat, I forget who posted it, but I was looking at it. It was percentage of primary points on the team's total amount of goals.
Sure.
So who is the most? Mantha was 5th in the league. Larkin was like 12th.
Oh, God.
So the entire team's offense is running through those two right now. And Bertuzzi's up there for points, but he has a few more secondary assists than those two do.
Right.
So this is going to be a long season. Oh, my God. But
We knew this is exactly how it's playing out right now. We knew this team was one line at best, and it's very much illustrated so far this season.
I do think that something's going to come, though, because
Like, in terms of what?
a significant change. Because we talked about it last episode. Freeman reported Athanasiou might be on the trading block. We've talked about how Yzerman's brought in Perlini, Ernie, waived Eriksson. So he's made it very clear the status quo is not acceptable. And the status quo is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I'm not saying there's an earth-shaking trade coming. Maybe it's not Athanasiou, but I have to think something's coming down the pipe. Maybe it's Blashill. Maybe it's another roster player. Because, again, from everything they've done this year, it's very obvious they do not want the kids up, so they are not going to be the solutions this year.
I think there's a plethora of teams who would trade for Anthony Mantha. Or not Anthony Mantha.
You're right about that.
Yes, I guess that is true. For Athanasiou, I think the price tag's probably going to be way too high. Well, but there are GMs who have pulled triggers on things like that before.
But yeah, here's the question, and again, we're beating a dead horse from last episode, but it's what's the price of a guy who scored 30 goals in a season?
Insane.
And what's the price of a guy who's got 5 assists in 12 games?
Yeah.
That's why you don't trade Athanasiou right now, even if you wanted to.
You know what? I still can't wrap my brain around it. What do we have in Andreas Athanasiou? This season is so far not telling of what we have, and I think last year was probably his absolute ceiling.
Well, it's going to get even more complicated because if you don't trade him, which I objectively think is what they should do right now, keep him.
Yeah.
Where I become, we'll use the term flummoxed. What the hell kind of contract do you give a player who's this talented but this streaky?
I have no idea. At
the end of last year, if you told me we were going to give Andreas Athanasiou $6.5 million per year over 7 years, I'd be like, "Oh, amazing, fantastic!" Now, do you give him any term?
I don't think so,
because you get the best value out of players when you get them before they take off.
Oh, for sure.
But he's already taken off, and now I don't even want to say regressing, because he's still getting chances.
His top thing, if they go to arbitration or let's just say salary negotiation, will be I have no one around me. He's like, I have Franz Nielsen as my centerman.
Valtteri Filppula right now.
Fair, but almost the same. His is going to be like, what? I have no one to play with. Look at what happens when I play with anyone and I have any chemistry. I score 30 goals. So I don't know, but I think it's going to be, if his salary negotiation goes smoothly, I will be absolutely shocked.
His agent is Darren Ferris.
Yes.
Who is notorious for being the, we'll call toughest negotiator of the agents in the hockey world. Athanasiou's already held out once, and he might be the most confusing player in the NHL to give a contract to right now.
Oh, yeah.
Buckle up, folks. This one could go sideways. He might get traded just because Yzerman's looking at this situation and going, I don't want to deal with this. Not that Yzerman's that type of guy.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Yzerman's the guy who let Jonathan Drouin sit at home instead of trading him when Drouin requested a trade. Yzerman does not fold. I'm not saying that the Athanasiou negotiations could go completely sideways. They could go fine. But all of the building blocks for a train wreck are there. A stubborn GM, a stupid tough agent, a player who's already held out, having a very confusing year after having several inconsistent years.
I suppose only time will tell which road we go down.
Like, this has all the makings of a 1-year contract.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if one more year walks him to UFA or if it's 2 more years, but that's going to be a fine line to walk as well.
I would say minimum you want to buy some UFA years or do a 1 year and he remains an RFA. That's
if he remains an RFA after 1 year.
If he, at the end of the season he's got 25 and, his shooting percentage was pretty low, then try and get something long term at a decent cap hit, I think is the route to go. And he should, as a player, he should look for something long term because he is such a streaky player. And
he's 25. This is his chance to cash out.
Quote unquote his prime almost.
If I'm Andreas Athanasiou, I'm not so much concerned about what the dollars are on my cap hit. I'm going to the Red Wings and saying, I want 8 years. Let's talk average. Because he's the type of player. Now, not all players are created equal. Not all players age equally, et cetera, et cetera. But when we're looking at style of players, he relies so heavily on his skating. And that's not a trait that generally holds well towards the end of a player's career. The cerebral players, the big players, the Anthony Manthas are the type of guys who will age a little better because their skills will still make them useful once they slow down.
Ovechkin is the prime example. He could score goals till he's 100.
Exactly. Athanasiou is not that type of player.
Yeah.
So if I'm Athanasiou, I'm thinking I have to cash out now.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't, let's say he signs a 4-year contract. At 29, he might already be slowing down. He might not, but he might be slowing down at that point. And do you think he's going to get a contract at that point anywhere near what he could get now?
The next 4 years are essentially his payday.
Yeah, and so, man, if I'm him, I'm going long term or 1 year.
Yeah, I would think I would take a little less on the cap, but guaranteed the dollars.
Yeah.
So,
and
I can't even guess what a contract would be like because I feel like every answer I think of, I can counter argue myself.
And here's the crux of it all. If I'm Steve Yzerman, as it stands right now, I'm not giving Athanasiou 7 or 8 years. I'm not giving a player as streaky as and inconsistent as he is that much term.
You give terms like that to your franchise players and guys who just are automatic 25 goal scorers.
And Justin Abdelkader.
Yeah. Well, automatic 25 goal scorers. Come on.
I actually don't know this off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but he hasn't scored this year, has he?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh boy, isn't Philip Hronek 4th on the team in points right now?
He's up there for sure.
It's Mantha Bertuzzi tied for 1st, Larkin, Hronek, I'm pretty sure.
And then everybody else.
If there is any shining beacons on the season right there, there's your 4.
Let me see if I can...
Every single one of those has performed fully up to expectations and then some. Anthony Mantha and Tyler Bertuzzi are both just under a point per game now after the game against Florida. And Larkin's just a couple behind them. And Hronek is up there. Actually, there was another one. My biggest bad habit on this podcast, I realize, is I read super interesting things on Twitter or online and forget to bookmark them. But someone posted a comparison of Philip Hronek through his first 60 NHL games and some of the other best young defensemen in the NHL where they were at through 60 games. Hronek's right there or better than guys like Ekblad, Heiskanen, not that far behind Dahlin, not that far behind Klingberg. He's holding some pretty elite company early in his career. Now, mind you, he's I think a 21-year-old rookie, whereas some of those guys were 18, 19, 20 coming into the league. So you got to factor that in. But Philip Hronek's become everything we wanted him to be. Solid defensively and very gifted offensively. And yeah. Oh, speaking of defensemen, we didn't put it on the topics here. Cholowski was scratched for the Carolina game, but drew back in the Florida game. So ultimately, Blashill healthy scratched him for a pair of games and then put him back in a game where Detroit got shut out.
I think the one thing that really solidifies the coming out party is the playoff series. Nobody really talked about Miro Heiskanen other than diehard hockey fans until the playoffs last year. And then the full hockey world took note on how sick he is.
So Hronik's never going to get that.
Yeah, so we'll have this conversation again in about 4 years. I pulled up the team stats for this season. Justin Applicator has 3 assists. He is 2 points behind Andreas Athanasiou.
Oh, no.
Let's go through our 0 points. Biega, 0 points, but come on, he's new to the team. Madison Bowie has 2 assists.
Good for him.
Trevor Daly, 0 points.
Yep.
Christopher N, 0 points.
Yep.
Adam Ernie, 0 points.
Yep.
Franz Nielsen, 0 points.
That contract's aging like milk.
Brandon Pierlini, 0 points, but
He's played 2 games.
yeah. So there's actually, Patrick Nemeth has 1 goal, 3 assists.
He's been good. I'm not
not
going to say
bad.
great, but he's been good.
Joe Hicketts has 1 point. Tyler Rossi has 5 assists.
Wow.
Darren Helm has 4 goals, 1 assist.
He's going for the Cy Young
Yep.
early in the season.
Mike Green, 1-1.
Ugh.
Valtteri Filippo, 1-4. Del Rose is 1-3.
Ooh,
Chalosky's 1-3.
there you go.
So I mean,
It's bad.
it's bad.
It's real bad.
That's a lot of zeros.
So actually, I did mention briefly there Chalosky drawing back into the lineup, which I think everybody listening to this would agree should have happened. Well, the whole him being scratched should have never happened. But I want to put on my tinfoil hat. Mike Green was scratched for the game last night against Florida due to, air quotations, illness. Do you buy that?
Bad play illness.
Because now, if the Red Wings were healthy scratching him, but because he's a veteran and been around the league for a while, out of respect, they made something up so he doesn't get roasted in the media. I respect it.
Oh yeah.
But do you think that's actually what happened? Because his wife is due very soon with, I think they're having a little girl. And he did have that illness all of last year. So it's very likely he would have missed that game anyway.
If it was anyone other than him, I would say the illness was made up. But he is always ill, it seems like, in some regard.
At the most convenient timing, where after the game against Carolina, the entire fan base was screaming to scratch him because how just truly atrocious he's been this season.
Yeah.
Now, if the illness is still lingering, and obviously his wife is basically 9 months pregnant, he has very good reasons to be underperforming right now. But here's the thing. This is the NHL. Excuses don't matter. You play or you're out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, whatever reason he was out of the lineup, I mean, it didn't help. The Red Wings got shut out and still allowed 4 goals. So, clearly,
we should have had Mike Green in the lineup, an offensive defenseman.
I've seen a concerning amount of tweets about that. But anyways, man, we are going to, fair warning to everybody listening to this, we are going to flip out about every roster decision with the full
That's all
understanding.
we have because we're not winning games.
Yeah. With the full understanding, it doesn't affect much. Does Chalosky going in and Mike Green coming out really affect the team that much? No, of course not. Vice versa? No, of course not. But
what else do we have to talk about?
it's something to talk about. But no, for guys like Chalosky, it is relevant to the long term.
Oh, yeah.
Is this good for his development? Because circling back to a conversation we had last episode and earlier this episode about Blashill's hot seat, I don't care about wins and losses. I care about being competitive, and I care about the development of young players.
Yeah.
I feel like Hiroshi's taken a step back this year. Obviously, if Chalosky's already getting scratched, that's not a good sign, no matter how you want to break that down. Athanasiou being inconsistent and putting up a bagel is not a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's worth noting.
It's such a bad spot to be in because it's hard for players to develop on a bad team with no true high-end talent, one player that they can really look towards. It's just like, how do these players truly develop when we're the dumpster fire?
And Evan just answered the question for everybody wondering why Zadina, Seider, Rasmussen, Svechnikov, and Veleno are all still in Grand Rapids.
Let's say we did bring them all up, and we could make that happen on a roster we had roster flexibility and could do that. It doesn't change anything. That team would get absolutely smoked because everybody's 18, 19, 20 years old.
Exactly.
We would get rolled just the same, and nobody wants the young prospects getting rolled like that.
And you don't want to be crushing their confidence while crushing their development. But to transition to happier notes. Speaking of kids in Grand Rapids, there's a couple of them on pretty decent point streaks down there right now. Philip Zadina's on a 4-gamer.
That's nice.
And Mort Sider's on a 3-gamer.
Also nice.
That is not a bad... This is what we need.
Yes. We need any sort of silver linings to this season.
I think Rasmussen's injured, so he hasn't been playing. But yeah, Zadina had another goal last night off a nice one-touch feed from Mort Sider. He's got, I think, 2 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games.
Yes, please.
Siders look great. Veleno's look good. Svechnikov's still catching up to speed. Grand Rapids is losing a lot of their games, but it doesn't matter.
That's okay.
We need these guys to be developing well, and as of late, they are.
So that's a bonus, finally. Something to talk about.
Something positive to talk about, because from everything I've read, because I think I've seen like 3/4 of one Griffins game this year outside of highlights, Sider's been a rock defensively.
Yep.
So to see the offense now coming for him is so clutch.
Yeah, it's good to see the defense start, and then once he gets that confidence, start leaning into his offensive game a little bit more.
And Zadina is scoring goals in a variety of ways. His last 2 goals, 1 tee off the top of the circle on feed from Sider, and the other a beautiful high tip in the slot.
Yeah, so we all knew with Philip Zadina it would just be a mental hurdle for him. We knew once they started to come, they would start coming in bunches. And that's good to see.
And it is. And it's nice. And it's wonderful. All right. Speaking of bunches, let's get away from the Red Wings because, honestly, outside of Zadina Sider, it's just making me sad these days. A team that is on an absolute heater, just as we all predicted, 9-game winning streak for the New York Islanders.
Of course.
One thing I want to point out, though, and this is why I hate everything right now. So someone said this is the Islanders' first winning streak of this length in 30 years. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. All those early 80s dynasties.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, wait, that was the early 90s. That was 30 years ago.
Oh,
it was
God.
the 89-90 season.
Oh, God. That reminds me that I'm turning 30 next year.
You're screwed,
Awful.
buddy. It's all downhill from here.
It's been downhill for a while.
Yeah. So the question, and this was the question all of last year, and it was a question when we did our predictions at the beginning of the season, and I guess it's still a question now because we're all stupid. Is this Barry Trotz or are the Islanders good?
Yes, I think it's both. I think one feeds into they feed into each other. I think Barry Trotz is far better than the general hockey world gives him credit for. And most people speak very highly of him, but I think he is a high tier coach at this point. How could he not be?
He is the guy who finally got the Capitals a cup. Now, the argument last year was, did Barry Trotz get them to the playoffs, or was it their insane goaltending that got him to the playoffs?
Right.
All of a sudden, they bring in another air quotation forgotten about goalie this year in Semyon Varlamov, and his numbers are unreal. So is Barry Trotz making good goalies with his system, his strong defensive systems, whatever you want to call them? Or is he just getting stupid lucky with the goalies? Obviously, given how long this has been going on, I'm going to say it's him.
Yeah, there's now a track record of his teams playing very good team defense and also winning.
Also, having a Matthew Barzal helps a lot.
The one thing that I've really noticed about the Islanders is their players are really coming into their potential. Like, Anders Lee is sick. Brock Nelson is having a decent year.
I still hate both those contracts for what it's worth.
Yeah. Matt Barzal is truly being realized as a, we'll say, somewhat superstar in the league.
I think what really brought around his turnaround here was he switched from black tape to white on his stick, which is key.
Right.
This is why he's succeeding now.
And for some reason, Barry Trotz gets his players to buy into what he's trying to do. Every team, it seems like, he got Alexander Ovechkin to play defense. That's pretty much all that needs to be said. If he can convince him that playing 200 feet can still lead to 50-goal seasons, then he can teach it to anybody. That is the real highlight of his career. So the fact that is it surprising the Islanders are on a 9-game winning streak? I would say yes, because I still don't believe in the Islanders, but I believe in Barry Trotz at this point.
Oh my God. How do we get one of those?
Hire them when they get fired or our contracts are up.
Remember when we could have had Barry Trotz or Joel Quenneville?
Remember when we should have hired Gerard Gallant? Remember when we should have hired Ralph Kruger? Remember when we should have hired Ricard Gronberg in some capacity?
We can still do that one.
Disco Dan and Ricard Gronberg? I would take that for... This is a throwaway season at this point. I would 100% take that.
Okay, I'm not getting back on that again.
Yeah.
Oh, I put another thing in our notes here that we forgot to mention because it was talk of the hockey world. Evan, it happened. It finally happened. The NHL has a lacrosse goal.
That was the first one?
Ever in the NHL.
And that was not the parallel stick with the pressure to flip the puck up. It was like the scoop. The true scoop.
Which is a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
And he did that. It was about, halfway through the third period when he did that?
I've seen it 8,000 times now. I should remember that.
So it wasn't fresh ice either, which also really ramps up the difficulty
And
level.
having like a fresh tape job with wax makes it, I'll say easier. It's not easy, but it makes it easier. So the fact that it's that late in the game is... very impressive. And he didn't have a ton of time behind the net to make it happen.
No, he did not. And let's be clear about something. The lacrosse move nowadays, as it stands in the NHL, it's not a difficult move. Almost every, novice, I've watched kids in novice practice be able to lift the puck up off the ice. That's not hard. To do it in those conditions, they were trailing by 1 halfway through the third period, to do it scoop style, and to just have the balls.
Yeah. You need to have it's the stones that are the biggest thing to make that happen. Because if you do it and it doesn't work, you look like the biggest donkey. Imagine that, he tried to do that and it rolled away and back into the corner or something. That would have been the low light everywhere.
Well, did you see the donkey who tried it last year and hit the crossbar and it went out the other side?
No.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It was Andrei Svechnikov.
Was it really?
This was not his first attempt at it.
Oh, I imagine he messes that up again. The stakes are higher every time you do it.
But if you can get that puck on your stick, it's a high percentage play because that is almost impossible for a goalie to stop unless they stand back up.
And they always try to, but there's still the small gap. Was that on Bobrovsky?
No, that was on Riddick, David Riddick.
So
they were playing Calgary.
Okay.
So now here's the thing, and I'm not going to lie, I'm angry we have to have this conversation.
Oh, God.
But there were... it was a much larger segment of the hockey Twitterverse than I would have thought, was having the conversation, should that goal be legal?
Yes.
But he high-sticked the goalie in the head when he was putting it in. Is this a safety risk, Evan?
Oh, yeah. You hit anyone in the face with or helmet with your stick, yeah, that's a penalty.
But when his head's below the crossbar, is it a penalty? Answer, no, it is not.
I don't know the exact verbiage of what a high sticking rule is in the NHL, or I guess whatever rule book they use. Because I'm sure if you slash someone in the head and they were on their hands and knees, it would probably still be a penalty.
So here's the question, and there is kind of a thing in the rule book about this, but it depends on your interpretation.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't matter.
No, it might though, because it depends on what your interpretation of a shot is. Because as you know, if you're a defenseman and you're winding up from the point and you take a slap shot, as your stick follows through on the shot, if the defender's leaning into you to try and knock that puck away and your stick comes up and hits him in the face, it's not a penalty.
Right. Because
you're allowed to high stick someone if it's a follow through on a shot. Do you consider the lacrosse move a shot? Because
at some point it's a different mechanism to create a shot, and at some point that puck is coming off his stick.
Yeah, he is using that stick to propel the puck into the net. I consider that a shot.
Yeah, I would too.
So if you were standing at the top of the crease and shooting the puck into the net, and your stick came up and hit the goalie square in the mask, it would count. So there's no reason this shouldn't count.
Yeah.
Also, this was super fun, cool, and creative. For the love of God, guys, just enjoy it.
So it's getting banned.
We don't need the anti-fun police every time something borderline comes up. It was a high-skill move at an important part of the game, and it went in the net, so it was effective. Carolina tied that game, and then 5 minutes later, Svechnikov scored again on the power play to give the Hurricanes a win. It mattered. If he didn't do the lacrosse move, is he going to, when Riddick's down low with his pad jammed up against the post there, is he going to score any other way? No.
You'd have to go backhand sauce or backhand top shelf very quick.
And nobody's going to be able to pull that off from that angle. And there was another segment of the fan world that was saying, oh, what a BS hot dog move. Show some respect, young man.
All of those people were over the age of 50.
100% of them. But again, if he did that in a 6-1 game, sure.
Sure. That's a different thing.
Okay, I will concede that's a bit of a hot dog move. This was the tying goal in the third period.
People are brutal.
How can it be a hot dog move in that important of a situation? And I'll repeat, it went in. It was an effective play that tied the game for the Carolina Hurricanes. How is anybody upset about this?
The NHL is one of the most vanilla leagues in the world. I will take anything that's exciting.
Well then, Evan, have I got some luck for you? How about a 1T shot through the legs with a second left in overtime?
I was going to segue into that, and maybe it's a hot take, but I thought that was way more difficult to pull off than what Andreas Svechnikov did.
It 100% was. Again, like I said, the lacrosse move by itself, to be able to take it and wrap it into the net, isn't that difficult from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, that one's more of like having the stones to do it.
That's all balls. What Matthew Tkachuk did against the Predators. So for anybody who missed that goal, Elias Lindholm is coming through the slot late in overtime. He takes a shot from the top of the slot. It hits a defender and kind of pops out to the side right as Matthew Tkachuk is cruising through the hash marks.
The stars aligned.
The stars aligned. And the puck came to him so quickly that he didn't have time. He physically could not just get that backhand off because the puck was already going past. So he had the presence of mind to bring the stick between his legs as he's skating through the slot and one-times that puck, I repeat, from the hash marks.
It was absurd.
And
it was absurd.
Puts it high blocker side, top corner on Pekka Rinne to give the Flames a win with 2 seconds left less than 2 seconds left in overtime. That is insane. From a difficulty meter, that thing is above the Svechnikov goal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is insane. I do not think it's up to the level of the Blake Coleman goal, because recency bias always gives us goal of the year. I still think Blake Coleman's one-hander while falling down is the king of the season so far.
But from a technical aspect of hockey, that one is in like God tier.
That is, I don't think I physically
You could
have
there could be a puck sitting there not moving and I could practice that 100 times and probably do that once.
I was going to say, given enough time, space, practice, and all that, I think we could probably pull that shot off a few times. I've seen you play hockey. You've seen me play. We could probably pull that shot off.
Then add, playing in the NHL against top players in the world and in overtime and with no time left. And the speed of the game.
And in traffic. But to me, the truly impressive part is I don't think I have the mental computing power to be able to make the decision to go for that shot that quickly in that scenario. I'd have just let that puck go right through my legs before I even knew what the hell I could have done with it.
Yeah, when you see the replay at ice level, it happens in an instant.
It's stupid.
It happens so fast. And the fact that we were able to get a play of that. When people do this between the legs shot in a penalty shot or like down low and they come out in front of the net on a power play and roof it, like David Pastrnak did, That's amazing.
That's
Like,
a nice
to do this in full speed, like off like the shot basically came off someone's skate. It was like bang bang in the net.
It's nuts.
It was a bang bang play that took like elite tier skill to pull off.
And again, same thing with the lacrosse move. The actual through the legs shot, like Evan was saying, where you have all the time in the world on a breakaway or whatever. There's tiny kids pulling that move off in practice these days. It's objectively, technically not that difficult. But all the circumstance that led to that Tkachuk goal was nuts. Right now, I've got that as the second best goal of the year, right behind Blake Coleman's ridiculous one-hander while falling.
What a week. Crazy week in the NHL.
There's been so many because what was the other crazy one that we haven't even mentioned about? I don't think it was. Oh, Sonny Milano's was a couple weeks ago where he did the through the legs at top speed through with guys on him.
Yeah, that one was disgusting too.
Oh, there's been so many.
NHL's been really exciting so far this season. I would say this is one of the most memorable starts to the season in a long time. We've had ridiculous goals. We've had storylines of teams underperforming and teams overperforming. And we've seen finally some entertainment in the Reeves, Kane, and the
Doughty,
Tkachuk and Doughty. This has easily been one of the most exciting starts to a season in a long time.
Unless you're a Red Wings fan.
Oh, it's playing out exactly like we thought it would.
It might even be worse.
Yeah.
The other goal I forgot happened last night. Did you see Heischer's goal against Carolina?
No, but maybe I did.
The double drag on Slavin.
Oh, I did see that.
Where Slavin got turned around.
That's what you do in like in NHL games.
Yeah, he literally took one of the best defensemen in the league, toe dragged him, and then when Slavin turned that way, dragged it back the other way and just left Slavin over there and then roofed it.
Also filth. So, we got lots of good things to talk about.
Just not with the Red Wings.
Not Red Wings related.
Not Red Wings related.
I'm trying to think of things we could talk about that are Red Wings related, but
that are positive because I'm done with the negative for today.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure overtime will take care of that for us.
We can rip on them all we want, but my God, it's no fun after a while.
Oh, Scott Sabourin. Speaking of no fun,
when you hit somebody in hockey, and the worst hits weren't like when you get laid out in open ice. It's the ones where two people bodies collide and nobody moves. And that's exactly what it was. And all the force just rattles through your body. That's exactly what that hit was. And it was bad for one player for the most part.
Because Scott Sabourin went to lay a hit on David Backes. Backes saw the hit coming, so kind of threw back a little bit. They literally went shoulder to shoulder, textbook. Except when their momentums met in their shoulders, it snapped their heads together, and Sabourin was out cold before he hit the ice.
You don't see that ever really in the NHL. So,
and then when he hit the ice, he hit it face first.
Yeah, so
had to be stretchered off. Latest update was that he was alert. I believe
he posted something on his own Instagram. So,
oh, did he? Oh, that's real.
He looks rough. He looks like a bruised piece of fruit,
but he's awake.
Yeah. So, what do you say? It's awful. You hate to see those things. You feel for him, his family, because he's grinded it out for so long in the AHL, and
like 6 or 7 years or something.
And then
like that,
now he finally cracks the lineup, and this happens. So speedy recovery, and hopefully he can get back to playing hockey at some point.
All this after Austin Matthews finally learned his name.
Well, yeah, jeez. Well, what a crazy year for Scott Sabourin, and unfortunately that sort of thing happened to him.
So hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully they don't rush him back, though. You don't screw around with brain injuries. Our weekly reminder of that.
Yeah.
This is also your weekly reminder that hockey is dangerous, chaos, and anything could happen. So keep your head up, kids. All right, you got anything else you want to talk about, or should we get to overtime?
Yeah, something else happened, but now I don't remember it. Lucic sucker punched. What's his name?
Suspension?
It's Lucic, so it is going to. If it was anyone not in his realm of, for the lack of a better term, thug-ish level, they would probably not. But I think he'll get a 1 game. Yeah,
because now what? So for anybody who missed it, Cole Sherwood comes down, takes a shot on the Flames goalie. I don't know who was in net. I think it was Riddick. Riddick covers it. Sherwood takes a late shot trying to poke it through him. It was late. But
And it was deep. It was a deep jab.
he did not hold back on it. So that is, in hockey terms, what you would call a dick move.
Yes.
And then, someone does something slightly irritating. So Milan Lucic's natural response is to come and punch him in the face.
Reminder, Milan Lucic has hands the size of frying pans.
So Sherwood, as you would expect, went down. And then, of course, as hockey players, the intelligent breed that we are tend to do, there's a guy injured on the ice. Let's fight over top of him.
Exactly. Let's have a little dance floor on top of this guy's lifeless body.
Idiots. But yeah, so point being, I think Lucic should get a few games for this. It wasn't the most vicious punch we've ever seen.
The problem is, what's his name? What was that player's name who did the jab?
Sherwood?
He did not defend himself.
Because he wasn't expected to be punched in the face.
He should have been.
Okay.
He should have been.
He shouldn't have jabbed Riddick, and he should have expected something. But that all being...
He stood there basically like a mannequin and just looked like... He should have at least braced himself for some altercation. Should he have been decked in the face? I guess that's really... When you see Milan Lucic coming towards you, probably should assume that.
No, but here's the thing. Should Sherwood have chopped at the goalie? No. Should Sherwood have expected some sort of retaliation there? Absolutely, he should have. That all being said, if a guy is standing there with his arms at his sides, you do not have the right to punch him in
Certainly
the face.
not.
If Lucic wanted to come in and give him a couple cross checks to the chest and be like, hey, buddy, this is about to happen. Get ready, get ready. And even if he doesn't brace himself, Lucic can ragdoll him a la Chara and McCabe. Fine, all's fair. You have to let him know that wasn't okay.
You need to have responsibility for your own personal safety out there as well, though.
Yeah.
And he did not.
But you do not get to sucker punch him in the face.
Both of those aspects led to what happened.
Yeah, I still hold Lucic responsible because he is the one throwing the punch.
The severity of the after effects.
Yes, that's the word we need. Severity. What Sherwood did absolutely should have elicited a response, not to that degree.
Yeah. But I would definitely, if that was me who did it, and he knows for sure that he took a liberty on a team's goaltender, and you fart on a goaltender in any level, there's going to be a bit of a scrum. So when you take a big jab, you got to be ready for the aftermath, regardless of who is on the ice. If it's Connor McDavid or Milan Lucic, you got to be ready for somebody to grab you in some capacity. But if it was anybody else, I don't think people would talk about it as much. But since it's Milan Lucic and everybody hates him,
and he has a history of crap like this,
yeah. So I would expect at least a game. You to spin the wheel.
The wheel of justice is going to be spun. He does. I did see an update this morning that he was given a hearing. Was it? I didn't see if it was on the phone or in person.
I don't know if. I don't think it was in person.
Yeah, because in person means it can go above 5 games. If it's not, if it's phone, I think it can only.
If he dropped his glove and just absolutely threw a hammer at him, then yeah, I would see that being 5+. But I would imagine this is much less than that.
Could Milan Lucic just retire? I'm sick of Milan Lucic.
I wouldn't retire with his contract.
Oh my God. I am so, by the way, fun little aside. Do you remember the condition on the Lucic for Neil trade?
It was something about 20 goals.
It was if, I don't know if James Neal scores 10 more goals than Milan Lucic. I don't know if there was a certain threshold, like he had to hit X amount of goals, and if it was 10 more than Lucic, he would the Oilers would have to send a 3rd round pick to Calgary. It is currently November 3rd, and James Neal is 11 goals ahead of Milan Lucic.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's going to be in jeopardy. I think he'll hit that one.
This is if you're a betting line type of guy, this is going to be a safe bet.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But if the bet was games suspended versus each other, Calgary's winning this trade.
Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what they look for in that trade.
100. Who needs goals?
No.
All right.
Anyway, I think that's everything we wanted to cover today.
Yeah.
Red Wings suck. NHL fun.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much it.
Yep.
All right, so let's transition into overtime, which is sponsored by Motor City Garages. Motor City Garages, family owned and operated, servicing Metro Detroit, and obviously servicing the Winged Wheel podcast and keeping our sanity alive for the season. Thank you, Motor City Garages. Garage flooring, cabinets, overhead racks, wall storage, and car lifts. Enough of the messy garages everyone is sick of walking through. It's time to turn it into something useful. Whether you like to work on your car or if you'd like an organized space, we have you covered. 3D designs and lifetime warranties. Motor City Garages. Park in style. Can we park our expectations for the Detroit Red Wings in one of the Motor City Garages?
I parked mine a long time ago.
In a Motor City Garage?
I'll park it anywhere who's accepting.
I'm only parking in a Motor City Garage. Anyways, thank you guys. And Overtime is also sponsored by our patrons who are guaranteed to have their questions read out every week. And since this is Sunday, that is no exception. So I just want to talk about how prepared I am. I actually have my laptop out for this episode with Ryan not being here. And I already have the Overtime thread open.
Wow. We're prepared today.
I'm doing this all on no sleep. So for all of you who I'm sure are going to be in my mentions tomorrow, oh my God, this episode sucks, we need Ryan back. Screw you. We're getting half of Evan and a 20th of Brad right now.
Exactly.
So anyways, wow, we got a lot. 15 questions here. All right, so I'm going in no particular order here. So first question comes from Haroon Khan. I believe, I don't recognize the name, so I'm going to guess he's new. I'm reading it. Yes, he's new. Welcome to the family, Haroon. He says, hey guys, new patron here. Been following this podcast for a while now and got to say thank you for giving me hope. I've been getting torched on a weekly basis by annoying Leaf fans, and man, I've hit my limit. Watching fossils like Daily miss open nets and Helm just streaking around the ice is driving me crazy. I tell myself not to watch for a while, but I just can't help it. Can someone outline the positives on this team in an otherwise depressing season? Anything will help. Thanks, guys. All right, so let's blow through the positives. Dylan Larkin, still very good. Anthony Mantha, becoming very good. Tyler Bertuzzi, exceeding all expectations. Philip Hronik, legitimate top pairing defenseman? I'd say yes.
Yeah, by all accounts right now.
Grand Rapids youngsters, looking good.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Steve Yzerman is still the GM of the Detroit Red Wings.
That's true. Yep, that's still good too.
So basically, you're watching just hopefully Athanasiou and Hiroshi pick it up, and hopefully the Perlini trade pans out. And that's basically all that's worth watching.
Yeah, that's it.
And he also says, congrats, Brad. Thank you. Rohan responded to him, positive, the 2020 NHL draft. Also, yes, the top end of this draft is looking very good right now.
Based on our draft track record, we're going to fall again, and I'm going to be so rattled.
We're going to finish dead last in the NHL and somehow pick sixth.
Yes, it's just how it works.
Nathan Miller says, congrats, Brad. Thanks, Nathan. Matt Shanye, I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce these like Ryan does. Congrats on baby Hank, Brad. Where do you think he will go in the 2038 NHL draft? He's going to go first overall to the still wallowing Detroit Red Wings.
Please, God.
I'm just hoping he shoots right and decides to be an offensive defenseman because then he's guaranteed to make the league.
Yep.
All right. Simon Anderson. On some rare occasions, there are more important things than hockey. I just wanted to say congrats to you and your wife, Brad. Love that your family gives Kitchener a Scandinavian touch with the name Henrik. Tank for Hank 2038. Oh my God, I love that. Thank you, Simon, and that might be my favorite comment ever. Tank for Hank 2038. It's got a ring for it. Ring to it. All right, Liz B. So I think it's safe to assume they will have at minimum 3 more 7+ game losing streaks. Can't wait to pick 6th in the draft again. Liz, I felt that comment on a spiritual level.
Yes.
All right. Dustin Sneath. Hey, guys. Congrats, I think, to Brad. Correct. Thank you. I'm a new patron and recent subscriber. Wow, welcome to the family, Dustin. After my first kid 2 years ago, I started to lose track of the Wings, and living in Chicago makes it even harder to keep up. Your show has really helped me get back on track, so thank you. All that said, here's my question. With all the talk about Blash being in the hot seat, do you foresee the team ever taking a chance on an AHL coach again, or sticking with NHL veterans from here on out? And if they were to take the chance, who's your dream coaching pick from the AHL or lower?
Oh my God.
So I'm going to assume AHL lower means anything outside of the NHL or someone who has no experience. Now, that being said, do I think that they'll take a chance on a coach outside of the NHL again? I do. Let's not forget one of the best coaches in the NHL right now is John Cooper. And Steve Yzerman's the one who brought him to Tampa Bay, and he plucked him from the AHL. So Yzerman has done this before, and it worked out. We've mentioned this 100 times on this podcast, but I like progressive thinkers. I like going outside the box, and if we're going outside, I'm looking at Europe, and I'm bringing in Ricard Gronberg.
Yeah, the problem with the NHL is they just recycle coaches until you're blue in the face.
It's the old boys club.
Oh yeah, if there's any more iconic display of that, it's coaching. It would be nice, in having spoken with Ricard Gronberg, understanding what his philosophy is as a coach. It's almost lines up hand in hand with what the Wings need to accomplish with their youth players and their prospects. Now,
that all being said, if there's a top-end NHL coach that gets fired this year,
yes, please.
By all means, like if it goes south for Minnesota with Bruce Boudreau, I take a look at that. Obviously, a couple of the big names like Gallant, Quenneville, etc., and Trotz aren't going anywhere. But there's enough coaches around the NHL.
Mike Babcock?
No. There's enough coaches around the league that are good coaches on the hot seat right now that I'd take a swing at. Boudreau's the one I'm looking at, that if he becomes available, I would take a long, hard look at.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the question, Justin. Next up, Evan Beckner. Congrats on the baby. Too bad number 40 will be in the rafters when Henrik suits up for the Wings in 2038. That's okay. I don't think number 4 is retired yet. And he can't wear his dad's number because his dad is number 19, and that's also in the rafters. All right. So A Wood posted a video of all the Griffin highlights in October. After watching the whole thing, Seider has taken the number 1 prospect spot for me. He doesn't look like a teenager on the ice. He's smooth and makes decisions quickly. Also, how come his physical play wasn't in the scouting report? We all heard he was smart and decisive, but he put a guy into his bench twice in the same video. On top of that, there were many instances where guys took runs at him only to find themselves staring at the ceiling. Very excited for his 9 games this season.
Yes, please.
I don't have Seider as the Red Wings' number 1 prospect right now. I don't even know if I have him as the number 2, but I could absolutely hear the argument for number 1 because I don't think there's a huge gap between Zadina, Veleno, and him.
We need the forward prospects more than our defensive prospects, even though we need a lot of defense.
We need a transitional goal scorer right now, and Zadina is that. I still have Zadina 1. I think I have Seider 2 and Veleno 3 right now. Again, I think all 3 of them are interchangeable based on how good they're playing any given week, which is a good problem to have. But yeah, and his physical game was talked about. I don't think we talked about it on here, admittedly, a ton because it wasn't the part of his game that got us the most excited. But he is a physical freak. He's only 18. He's already over 200 pounds and built.
I think the first time the conversation really started happening was at the prospect tournament when he basically laid out a full steam Kirby Dach.
A couple times.
Yeah.
Kirby Dach
is massive.
Yeah, and Seider. What's the politically correct term here? Owned him.
Yes.
So, Seider is looking very, very good, and like we talked about earlier, that offensive side might be rounding out now.
Yep.
All right, next up we have Advanced Water. Congrats on the baby. I met another baby, Henrik. Well, that makes the only other one I know of. When the Wings played the Ducks, I had my Zetterberg jersey on, and the kid next to me wouldn't stop grabbing at the 40. Chatted with the parents for a bit. Now for the question. Have the veteran players given up? It feels like some players, Mantha, Larkin, Bertuzzi, Cholowski, etc., are giving it their all, but so many other players just seem like they're just standing in the ice until their shift is up, especially in their own zone. I know losing so many games has to be demoralizing, but they're going to keep on losing if they don't go after the puck.
When you're bad, it makes it look like you don't care because you can't drive any play.
Yeah, as much as we dump on the Abdelkaders and Helms of the world, I don't think there's anything wrong with their effort level. They are just incapable of doing the things they want to do.
These are professional athletes who have a competitive level higher than 99% of the human population. They're definitely trying. It's just that they don't have the ability to make it look like they can.
And I actually don't have an answer for it, but when you see them standing around the zone, there could be two reasons for that aren't effort related. One, they're near the end of the shift and their legs are just toast, or Blashill's employing some kind of clog the middle system, which it's not super uncommon.
That's what bad teams do.
Yeah, because he knows that it could be a case where he knows if a guy like Abdulkader challenges a guy one-on-one, he might get burned. Now it's an odd man situation.
We have less than 5 players who can do the track meet style hockey.
Yeah, so that could be another reason. I don't think there's a couple players who I will question their effort level when we've talked about them, but I think it's a very small minority.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Rowan. G'day, Duds, minus the most popular talkie show hosts. So, hockey is heaps bad and stuff, but never fear, we're about to segue to rugby.
Oh, God.
What a World Cup final we had, with South Africa emerging victorious in a fascinating game that I felt they were pretty much always in control of. The whole tournament has been an overwhelming success. Can't wait for the next one. If you get a chance, check out Sia Kolisi's post-game interview as the winning captain. It was as good as the game, if not better.
The day I watch a rugby game is the day that it's a successful World Cup.
Okay, hockey. Well, it was a big couple of days for Brad, with his beloved Stars winning twice and his side team, the Carolina Hurricanes, emerging victorious against our Red Wings as well. So, Brad, are you a fan of any other teams? Are there more photos of you that listeners need to be aware of? We demand answers. Oh, I own, I think, jerseys of at least 12 different teams, so probably. Jersey time. Opinions on the Nashville Winter Classic jersey. When you have incriminating photos of yourself in different teams' jerseys, hide them away from prying eyes using Stay Fresh cheese bags. Stay Fresh cheese bags, a Fournier company and safe haven for evidence that can come back to bite you. Hashtag SFCB. Evan, I'm assuming you've seen the Nashville jerseys so far?
Yes, I did.
Love the jerseys, hate the text.
Yeah, they're pretty simple.
If they had went with that Sabretooth logo in the middle instead, I'd have loved the jerseys far more from an aesthetic standpoint. That being said, apparently I was reading that the way the text is written on the chest is a callback to some a team in Nashville that played decades ago.
If you have to explain it like that, nobody's gonna get it.
Exactly, outside of people from Nashville, maybe.
Yeah.
But so aesthetically, I love the jersey. Don't love the logo. I get it. I respect it, but I would have just much rather had the shoulder patch logo, the Sabretooth, on the chest.
If people only sort of hate it, that means it's a win for a jersey. Because every time...
Yeah, that's fair.
There's only like a small, minute number of jerseys where people are like, I need this in my blood right now. Everyone else just dumps on New Jerseys. And New Jersey.
And New Jersey this year especially. Jack Hughes is heating up. We didn't talk about that. He's got like 7 points in 5 games or something like that.
Who knew it took time to get used to playing at the NHL level?
And also on a small aside too, I forget what stat it was. I think it was just Gar or War or something like that. Capo Caco has statistically been the worst player in the NHL this year.
Really? Yeah. I haven't heard anything about him.
Nope. So, hey, rookies, young, hockey, hard. More at 6. All right, next up we have Matt McKay. Hey there, guys. Love the interview with Lidstrom, but it got me thinking. If you could interview one hockey player throughout all of history, who would it be? Thanks for all that you do, and cheers to the 2020 draft.
Anyone in hockey history?
Yeah.
I feel like any answer is going to be perceived as the wrong one.
There's no right or wrong answer here, Evan.
Oh.
Just from a fascinating conversation standpoint, who would you want to talk to?
Oh, God. That is tough. Man, as much as I would like to just pick someone like Maurice Richard or Gordie Howe's brain, I would love to have a conversation with Bob Probert.
Bobby Probert, that would be a
The
good one.
stories would be amazing. But it wouldn't be that golden era talking about someone who's well versed and fully understands the picture of hockey. But the story, it would make for an amazing episode.
The guy I would want to talk to the most, we don't even know his name. I want to talk to the first person to ever play hockey. I want to know why my life is the way it is and why we are so obsessed about guys who strap knives to their feet and go hit something on the ice with a stick. You just think of the first person to ever do that. What was going through his head? Hey, this lake's frozen. I'm literally going to go in the kitchen, grab a couple butcher's knives. I'm going to throw them on my feet. Let's tie these tight. I need a stick and I need something to hit while I'm on the ice.
It definitely started somewhere very cold where winter sucks and probably a few drinks, because no sober person would ever think that that's a good idea.
And yet here we are.
Yeah.
I have to know. I've read a lot of the origin stories of hockey, but there's nothing ever been about the guy.
Yeah.
This was the guy that started all.
Yeah.
The original guy.
Yeah. We've got a lot of them, and they owe us to tell us who the father guy was.
Because like basketball had James Naismith, so you could just go talk to James Naismith. We don't have a James Naismith in hockey. There is one somewhere.
We just don't know who he is. And
I'd want to talk to him.
Yep.
All right. Linda Hull. Congrats again to you, Brad. You have an adorable family. Thank you. Is it safe to say you won naming rights? Crystal liked the name. It was in her top 3. We eventually narrowed it down to 2 names. Henrik was my top, and Crystal had a different name at her top. Since Henrik was in her top 3 and her top 1 wasn't even in my top 10, we kind of just
It's ranked voting.
Yeah, ranked voting. The culmination of the math we used led to Henrik, because Crystal, for those who haven't been listening long enough to hear a lot of the Crystal stories, she is also a big Red Wings fan. So she was not opposed to a hockey name at all. And her favorite player outside of the Red Wings is Henrik Lundqvist. So it wasn't a stretch for her to come to my side. And Linda follows with, do you think Blashill is capable of protecting the morale of this team? Watching each game, it seems like heart and effort on the ice are in a steep decline. That concerns me the most. I mean, last year the Red Wings were bad, but they also led the league in 1-goal games. So I don't know what changed from last year to this year. The team is largely the same. He's still the same coach. So I don't know if it's just over time he's slowly losing the room, or if somehow this team is even worse than last year.
Yeah.
But
that's all. Yeah.
I don't have an answer, because from the question of, do I think he's capable of protecting the morale of his team? Yeah, he did it last year.
Yeah.
So
he's done it once.
I don't know what changed, but something has. All right. Next up, we have Garrett TV. All right. Congrats to Brad. I look forward to overaged Hank Crisco saving the Wings from a 20-year rebuild process in the 2038 draft. Thanks, Garrett. Me too. I have mostly a comment, not a question, but perhaps you can provide some thoughts. Sorry if this gets ranty. Basically, I've never been supportive of spreading talent down the lineup when your team is bad. There is really no reason to take, say, a second or third line from absolutely terrible to only sort of terrible. It does nothing for the team. Anyway, that's what Blashill has decided to do, and now it's crushing our top line's effectiveness. And of course, this poor run if form has has seen the most consistent line configurations in 2 seasons. Why now stop the blender? The lack of chemistry and effectiveness is really killing mentally. You can see it everywhere. At least for the first few games, if the season we had a top line clicking. Sorry, my brain, I can barely actually focus on the words right now, let alone read them. Now we have nothing. I can handle losing. I can't handle guys not showing up motivated and the team making the same poor mistakes nightly. Aside from Filip Hronek, what has gone right for this team in the past 2 weeks? It's rough, and this is where good coaching becomes essential. Sadly, I don't think we have it. Let's go Red Wings. We touched about it on the positives when I think it was Haroon was asking about what the positives are, so I kind of touched on that. I kind of agree with you in one sense, Garrett, but kind of disagree. I don't mind spreading the talent around, but I'm a fan of having a distinct top 6 and bottom 6. I think your 6 best forwards should be in the top 6, and you can spread them out there however you want. So I don't hate Mantha dropping down to the second line to play with Athanasiou, because as we've seen, there actually is a bit of chemistry between them. Ideally, you'd have a centerman much better than Val Filppula in between them. Same with Bertuzzi and Larkin. I think they can succeed without Mantha, but ideally it would be someone other than Darren Helm. So I know all offseason we were talking about how badly the Red Wings needed a top six center and a top line winger. Here's exactly why. Would I have Helm in that spot right now? No, probably not, but whatever. We're splitting hairs. But yeah, no, it's frustrating. I'd rather see a Hirose or a Perlini, someone objectively better than Darren Helm in that slot.
Yeah.
But we don't have anybody good to throw there.
Yeah, when you find prolonged chemistry with one line or a couple lines, I would prefer that they stay 90% intact throughout the season, because chemistry is a very hard commodity to come by.
Although I do agree with you that it is absolutely perplexing that Blashill throws the lines in a blender seemingly every game until he hits a massive losing streak and now he's leaving it. You're absolutely right, and it makes no damn sense.
That's kind of the opposite of what you would think he would do.
Frustrating. Anyways, and last Patreon comment that we have, at least at the time of me reading this, Don Mitchell says, do any of you know why Rasmussen and Larson haven't been playing the last few games? Congrats on the baby. Hope mom and baby are happy and healthy. Cheers, Don. Thanks, Don. Mom and baby are both very happy and healthy. I don't know why Larson hasn't been playing. He's the backup goalie, so he might just be sitting there. I don't actually know if he's even been dressing. I know Rasmussen has been nursing an injury, but off the top of my head, I cannot remember what it is for the life of me, which is par for the course for Michael Rasmussen, who seems perpetually injured. And actually, Philip Larson's had a run of injuries over his short hockey career thus far, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's injured too. And now let's pop over to Reddit, because I think we have a few questions there. Don't know if we'll read them all, because we are running longer than I thought. I wasn't sure me and Evan would hit an hour, but here we are.
Yep.
All right. So Wyman856 goes, how old will baby Henrik be before his first win in his lifetime? Might be a couple weeks.
He might have a beard by that time.
A Zetter beard?
He might.
He might have Hank's beard. And then Jarvik7, hi guys, how much longer before it's time to bring out the pitchforks demanding Blash to be fired? Do you think there is a better available coach out there who can make this team better? I think that's already happening. I think there is, and I think it's Gronberg. Or Bilesma. Bilesma's the more likely because, as we talked about last episode.
Interim.
Yeah, interim tag. So, not a lot on Reddit this week, so there we go. One more. Pricey D, which current player would you love to interview the most?
Current player?
Current player.
Probably Dylan Larkin.
Do you think an interview with Dylan Larkin about the team right now would just be him sobbing into a microphone for an hour and a half?
Probably. Wait, the question was current player on this team?
He just said current player. He didn't specify.
Oh. We gotta get someone who will give us good sound bites. Oh, Ryan Reeves. He'll give us some amazing sound bites right now, and the rest of the hockey world would take note that our podcast exists. Because they would have to credit us for those sound bites.
If I want to do an interview just from a purely interesting standpoint, assuming the player would actually give us some answers, Brad Marchand.
Oh yeah,
I would
too.
I would love to get inside that guy's head just to see, because I swear to God he just does it on purpose and he knows what he's doing. I don't think Marchand, I think he probably is still himself off the ice, but I don't think it's to the same extreme.
No, I don't think so either.
I would love.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
that would be good.
Current Red Wing, I'd probably say Bertuzzi.
Bertuzzi would be good too.
Yeah. All right, so that wraps up this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast. So,
is Ryan gone next episode too? Oh yeah,
no,
is.
he's not. No, he's gone for the midweek. He's gone for a whole week.
My question was, is he gone for another episode?
Oh, gone for another episode is what you were saying. I believe he is.
Typically, that's how it works. I think he goes Monday to today to next Sunday. I don't know. I didn't listen. He was saying a bunch of stuff. He was way over his word count, and I stopped listening.
That sounds about right. Sorry, one sec. I'm trying to pull up our name level sponsors here, but my computer is freezing on me.
Yeah, no free ads for this laptop company.
No, they are absolutely awful.
All I can tell you, Arjun Shankar.
Yeah, run through as many as you can off the top of the head.
I can't remember any of them. Right, but at this point of the podcast, I'm already tuned out.
We're already tuned up.
Your laptop sounds like a jet engine
It's
right
taking
now.
off right now. I'm trying to think. Is there a way I can pull it up on the...
People are going to think your furnace started, but it's just your laptop struggling to live and do computations.
I'm just trying to see if there's a way I can pull this up on my phone, but it's not working. So, to our name level sponsors, guys, it might not be happening today. I truly apologize. I'm trying to see. I don't think the app...
I don't think I'm even logged in on my phone. See, this is why I need to bring my laptop.
No, I'm scrolling through the app right now, and the Patreon app is not good.
Hold on.
You got it?
No, I'm not logged in. Oh! Let's see. Oh my god, it needs to verify my device because Ryan has to do 2-factor authentication on all of our accounts. So, once again, this is Ryan's fault. Is your laptop working?
It's working now, but I got to get back here.
Oh my god.
I got it. I just got to sort. What kind of amateur goddamn podcast is this? Anyways, we would like to thank our name level sponsors: Luke Johnson, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Langabeer, Matthew Emrice, Ryan Lewis, Sean Levine, Matt McKay, Hannah Lee, Kaylin Wood, Jacob Turner, Charlie Elkins, John Evans, Antonio Lupu, Rob Thiel, Craig Kibble, Stan Olson, Ryan Lewis, Simon Anderson. Thank you all so much. We are sorry there was a delay on that. We're not good at this.
It's also sad that I only remembered one of those names.
I had most of them, but I wasn't about to... I feel like it would have been worse had I mentioned like 75% of them, because then the last 25% would have just felt really left out.
So now, for me, it's only one person is
That
happy.
person feels extra special.
Yes.
I would, if had I done it, I would have just been an asshole.
Exactly. So we're all good. We're making it through Ryan-less. I would say we did a passable job today.
Especially given that we are barely functioning today.
Yeah, I blame children and daylight savings time.
I blame the schools. See you Wednesday, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.